Do I have an idea? Of course I do. Am I going to share it with you? No, because that's her story to tell. And that one line told the world everything. Something much bigger was happening behind the scenes. Molly Qerim, after nearly 2 decades at ESPN, didn't just walk away. She walked out fighting. From lawsuits to backroom politics. This is the story ESPN never wanted exposed. Her sudden exit shocked fans everywhere, because Molly wasn't just another host. She was the steady backbone of First Take for 10 straight years. And then, gone. Overnight. No farewell episode, no tribute montage, nothing. Just an Instagram story saying she was stepping away after much reflection. And by the time viewers tuned in the next morning, her chair was already empty. Even Stephen A. Smith admitted he was blindsided, saying he had no idea she was even considering leaving, which instantly raised red flags. TV departures are almost never this abrupt unless something behind closed doors breaks down fast. ESPN claimed it was just contract negotiations, but insiders immediately pushed back, arguing that ESPN has a long history of pushing out talent by offering deals they know won't be accepted. And this time, the whisper was that the network wanted to shift toward younger female hosts, names like Malika Andrews and Taylor Rooks, while phasing out women who'd been there longer. Industry analysts didn't hold back either, pointing out the gender gap that everyone sees but no one admits. Men can anchor into their 50s, 60s, and even 70s, but women get pushed aside for fresh faces. Molly's departure kicked that entire conversation wide open. ESPN President Burke Magnus praised her poise, skill, and professionalism, but praise means little when a network is quietly reshuffling its roster. And Stephen A.'s emotional tribute made it clear how much she mattered to the show. He said she made his job easier, steadier, smoother. But then he dropped the real truth. We don't get to define our own value unless we have the leverage. That was the heart of it. Leverage, power, control. And Molly wasn't given enough of it. Fans reacted instantly, demanding answers, because you don't remove a decade-long face of First Take in the dead of night unless something is wrong. Analysts argued this had all the signs of a corporate push-out disguised as a resignation. ESPN is reshuffling, cutting budgets, and prioritizing cheaper, younger on-air talent. Molly's sudden exit fit that pattern perfectly. So this wasn't just a simple goodbye. It was the first chapter of a much larger story about ESPN's evolving identity, the double standards women in sports media still face, and the quiet battles happening behind the cameras. One thing is clear. Molly didn't just leave. She was pushed to a point where leaving became the only move left. And this story? It's only getting started. This practice isn't unique to ESPN, but no network has become more synonymous with sudden, high-profile departures. Over the past decade alone, names like Jalen Hill, Michelle Beadle, Kenny Mayne, and others vanished abruptly, sometimes amid public blow-ups, other times through quiet contract collapses. But Molly's exit felt different. There were no whispers of tension, no signs she was unhappy. In fact, she looked like she was flourishing on air. And yet her departure arrived at the exact moment ESPN was elevating younger female hosts, most notably Malika Andrews, who has rapidly become one of the network's most visible stars. That timing forced an uncomfortable question. Was Molly pushed out not because of her performance, but because ESPN is chasing a younger demographic with younger faces? The double standard was impossible to ignore. Men like Chris Berman, Bob Lay, and even Stephen A. Smith have enjoyed decades of airtime without their age ever being used against them. For women, though, there's always an invisible countdown clock, one that ticks faster no matter how skilled, credible, or accomplished they are. That's why Molly's departure struck a nerve. To many, it symbolized a harsh reality in sports media. No matter how essential a woman becomes, her seat is always treated like it can be replaced. Fans saw the imbalance too, noting that while Molly's poise and expertise made First Take run, the spotlight still defaulted to the men sitting beside her. Yet she broke the stereotype. Molly wasn't just a moderator. She challenged arguments, redirected chaos, and carried authority when debates spiraled out of control. She became critical to First Take's chemistry, which is why losing her felt like ripping out a key pillar of the show. ESPN has reshuffled talent before, but this time the gamble was bigger. Viewers don't just tune in for topics. They tune in for personalities, for dynamics, for the rhythm that only certain combinations of hosts can create. As one analyst put it, Molly wasn't just keeping the trains running. She was one of the few who left a real footprint on a format, often dominated by two men shouting while a woman stays in the background. That kind of presence isn't easy to replace, whether ESPN nudged her toward the exit or made staying impossible. And with the network still recovering from past shakeups, including Skip Bayless's dramatic exit in 2016, the risk of breaking the chemistry again loomed large. But once the initial shock faded, a bigger question emerged. What will Molly do next? Some predicted a jump to FS1 to reunite with Skip Bayless. Others imagined her stepping into the booming podcast world, building her own brand from scratch. Yet insiders were quick to warn that launching an independent platform isn't as simple as it looks. It demands skills, strategy, and a comfort with a spotlight that isn't shared. And just when it seemed these were the only paths forward, something far more unexpected began to unfold. Where circumstance will push you to take risks, but transitioning to another network isn't as simple as it sounds. For someone used to the structure, stability, and paycheck of a corporate media job, moving into independent content creation demands a different kind of courage and strategy. Molly's departure fits into a broader pattern. Over the past decade, ESPN has repeatedly lost recognizable faces, sometimes by choice, sometimes not. The list is long. Dan Luke Battard, Rachel Nichols, Michelle Beadle, Jamal Hill, Kenny Mayne, Max Kellerman, and more. Each departure sparked headlines, leaving fans to wonder if ESPN was eroding its own identity by letting so many familiar figures walk away. As Stephen A. Smith reflected on his SiriusXM show, the industry has shifted dramatically. We forget that ultimately, all of us answer to the people. We don't get to define our own value or worth. We can't just stand there and declare, "This is who I am. This is what I'm doing." And guess what? Unless you have leverage, I don't care what anybody says. Business is all about leverage. Even the most established names have limits, he explained. You can be beloved, essential even, but decisions ultimately come down to leverage, and that power lies with networks, executives, and shifting market forces. Molly's exit, then, isn't just her story. It's a reminder of how volatile sports media can be. Fan reaction was immediate and split into two camps. Some accepted ESPN's narrative, framing her departure as a natural career move, expressing support, gratitude, and excitement for her next chapter. Others were skeptical, viewing her exit as a case study in how corporate media discards even its most respected talent to serve the bottom line. On social media, both sides played out. Hashtags like #ThankYouMolly trended alongside blunt questions like, "What did ESPN do to make her leave?" The divide reflects the ambiguity surrounding her departure. Without a tell-all from Molly herself, and considering the tight NDA's comment at ESPN, fans were left piecing together the story from subtle clues. By the time the dust settled, one thing was clear: Molly's exit wasn't just a footnote. It was a flashpoint, sparking debates about gender equity, ESPN strategy, and whether even beloved hosts can ever feel secure. As one commentator summed up with a mix of cynicism and truth, that'd be the second book. You know they've got NDAs over there. They're tough. A tell-all might never come, but the speculation keeps this story alive long after Molly's last appearance on First Take. Up next, we'll zoom out even further, examining ESPN's restructuring, how Molly's departure fits into the network's broader strategy, potential next moves, and what her exit signals for the future of First Take and sports broadcasting as a whole. To understand the full impact of Molly Qerim's departure, you have to look at the bigger picture. ESPN has been a network in flux for years. Despite remaining one of the most recognizable names in sports media, its dominance has been challenged by changing viewer habits, new platforms, and independent creators rising in influence. Cord cutting has chipped away at cable subscriptions, hitting ESPN's traditional revenue. Meanwhile, streaming giants like Amazon and Apple aggressively pursue live sports rights, the crown jewel of ESPN's business. ESPN Plus has made strides, but hasn't restored the cultural centrality once held when SportsCenter was must-watch viewing. These shifts forced the network to cut costs, reorganize, and rethink on-air talent. Waves of layoffs, surprising contract decisions, and constant turnover have become routine. Molly's departure fits into this pattern, not just a personal choice, but another high-profile figure leaving suddenly, often shocking fans. For First Take, specifically, her exit created an immediate challenge. The show has always been anchored by personalities. First Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, later Max Kellerman, and most recently Molly herself as the steadying presence. Her ability to balance heated debates with grace kept First Take the flag sure. Sports debate program, even as copycat shows emerged across the industry. Yet perhaps the most intriguing part of the story isn't why she left, but what comes next. Unlike some predecessors, Molly departs with experience and visibility. She isn't fading quietly. Her profile remains high, and opportunities in today's media landscape are vast. One possibility is joining a competitor like FS1, where Skip Bayless now hosts Undisputed. FS1 has long sought to chip away at ESPN's dominance, and Molly's name recognition could be a major asset. Another option lies in independent media, podcasts, YouTube shows, Twitch, or collaborations with platforms like Amazon or Netflix. But transition isn't easy. Molly must leverage her reputation to stay relevant without ESPN's machinery behind her. Optimism remains. Her professionalism, credibility, and loyal fan base give her a strong foundation. Molly's exit shouldn't be seen in isolation. It reflects a pattern at ESPN, cycling out established figures, sometimes to cut costs, sometimes to inject younger talent, sometimes to reset the network's image. We've seen it before with Michelle Beadle, who left despite popularity, Jamal Hill, who clashed with management over political commentary, and Kenny Mayne, whose contract dispute ended his long SportsCenter run in 2021. Molly's case, however, Molly Qerim's departure from ESPN may have seemed clean because it didn't involve overt controversy or conflict, but that very cleanliness fueled speculation. Did ESPN truly want to keep her, or was the contract designed so that her exit was inevitable? Stephen A. Smith's reflections on leverage suggest the latter, emphasizing that in sports media, business is all about leverage. And if the network saw younger, cheaper, or more strategically valuable options, Molly's bargaining power may have been limited. As she steps into the next phase of her career, the industry will be watching closely, whether she joins another network, launches her own venture, or steps away from the spotlight, reminding us how volatile and human the industry truly is. With every contract negotiation and segment influenced by ambition, identity, and corporate priorities. Molly's exit wasn't just a host leaving. It was about power, gender, and the future of media, and the ripples are still felt. ESPN has a long history of high-profile exits. Dan Patrick left after contract disputes in 2007 to thrive independently. Michelle Beadle departed amid disagreements over her role. Jamil Hill exited after political controversies. Kenny Mayne was let go following a pay cut request in 2021, and Rachel Nichols left after leaked audio prompted backlash. Each departure sparked conversation, some leaving willingly, others pushed, some finding new success, others fading, and now Molly joins this lineage. But unlike many, her exit involved no public scandal, only silence and vague corporate statements, creating a paradox where the less that's said, the more speculation grows. Stephen A. Smith himself acknowledged this, noting he had ideas but would not share them because it was her story to tell, fueling weeks of conjecture about behind-the-scenes conflicts or deeper reasons for her sudden departure, while tight NDAs ensured that silence became part of the narrative. What made Molly's exit stand out was the goodwill she retained. She didn't clash publicly, burn bridges, or leave amid scandal. Instead, she earned praise from colleagues, bosses, and fans alike, including Burke Magnus' statement calling her integral to ESPN and Stephen A. Smith's heartfelt words, highlighting her professionalism, friendship, and humanity, giving her leverage as she considers next steps in her career, whether that means joining a rival network like FS1, exploring independent media, or other opportunities, while ESPN risks alienating loyal viewers by letting go of such a recognizable and respected presence. Historically, ESPN has weathered exits, from Skip Bayless to Jamil Hill, but repeated departures raise questions about whether the network's core identity is being hollowed out. with commentators noting the ongoing shakeups over the past few years. Molly's story is bigger than one host leaving. She symbolizes women in sports media fighting for visibility, credibility, and longevity in a male-dominated industry, the tension between established figures and corporate churn, and the balance between professional loyalty and personal ambition. Her departure is simultaneously ordinary, another name in a long list of exits, and extraordinary, crystallizing the tensions shaping modern sports broadcasting. Ultimately, her exit wasn't about on-set drama or a bad contract, but about power, perception, and change, exposing the precarious nature of media jobs, gender dynamics in broadcasting, and the way silence can be as impactful as words. Fans will feel her absence each morning on First Take. ESPN faces the risk inherent in every personnel decision, and Molly embarks.